before we start, I have a proposal. Okay.
With
And
public comment.
I can talk. I think that we should go into this meeting, spend an hour having our discussion. If we can't come to a solution in an hour, we should then move on to January business. And we each do our own agenda items. We don't have to have a president to do that. We don't have to recognize anyone to do that. And then we can get some work done. What do you guys think?
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, of course.
We have no issue with that whatsoever.
Absolutely.
Okay, if we cannot decide in an hour, we'll move on, but we may have another idea. Okay, just wanted to put that out there. All right.
Well, meeting board.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order the Moreland Township Board of Commissioners on January 29th, 2026. Reorganization meeting. Please rise for a pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have David Heatley to my right. He is our legal counsel here this evening from Bring Bees and Thatcher. John is out of town. He is unable to be here with us tonight. We would like to invite public comment from anyone in the room who would like to address the board on any of our agenda items or regarding the organization this evening. Would you like to come on up, address the board, state your name and address for the record?
Right over there, Marie.
Yeah, that microphone doesn't actually.
So my name is Marie Volterano and I live in Huntington Valley. And I just wanted to say to the board that I came to the last meeting. That was about 4 hours, right? And I had heard through the community that there was some discord around the reorganization of this board. And I figured that I would attend so I could see and hear firsthand what the issues were. I fully expected that there would be a simple case of partisan politics. But after I sat through those 4 hours of that reorganization meeting, this is way more than a simple case of partisan politics. Although I'm disappointed in the lack of community toward each other, I'm growing used to the reality that we will never have common decency of community here any longer. However, the larger issue, and possibly the more grave matter that was on flagrant display for most of the 4-hour meeting, was the disregard of the voters of this community's interests. Those who elected you to the position which you ran for and you now sit in. This week, I've thought a lot about the many motions that you guys made. The comments, the snark, the rage bait that rambled on and on. And I thought that I would come here tonight and ask you a few questions. Would I or any other member of our community votes for their commissioner, should they consider gender? Commissioner Housen?
This is public comment, not a question.
You don't have to answer. I'm just telling you, that's directed towards you.
No, this is our policy. That we do not answer questions.
Right,
It's
that's
just
fine.
public
You
comment.
don't need to. There's still questions, right? Like
Go right ahead.
employment status or hours of availability, Commissioner McDade.
I'm always available. I'm retired.
No.
24/7.
No, that's not the question.
Okay, I'm here.
No, not the.
This is the first time I ever seen you at this meeting, ma'am. I sat back in that back room back there for 12 years straight, never missed a meeting. Okay, first time I ever seen you here. Okay,
Actually, that
so go ahead and finish your comments.
I will
Okay,
finish
thank
my
you.
comments, but Do you see how you're reacting to what I
It doesn't
said?
matter. I'm not going to take that from someone who just came to this meeting for the first time last week,
But that's
okay?
untrue.
I've been here for 12 years back there,
Mhm.
and I've come up to this podium and I treated every one of these people with respect.
Yeah.
Okay, with respect,
Same. Okay,
okay?
but I'll finish.
Go ahead.
Don't you worry. So anyhow, the question to Commissioner McDade was, should I consider that when I vote? The answer is no, but whatever he went on. Commissioner Blanton, should I only think about board experience? The display that I saw made it clear that no matter what I believe is important as a voter, your belief, and those on the board, you feel is more important and relevant to anything that I or any other voter in this community considers. I also heard outright disdain and disregard for the legal opinion provided by the solicitor, who is paid with the tax dollars of the hardworking members of this community and was appointed by the commissioners of the board that those same hardworking voters paid or voted for.
Maria, I'm sorry.
Hold on.
We have a
I'm-
3-minute limit.
Yeah, okay, well, I'm
Just
not
letting-
finished and I was interrupted, so I get that time back.
No, I gave you that.
I didn't see any memo or other evidentiary documentation to dispute Solicitor Rice's opinion. I didn't even hear a reason other than Commissioner Blanton didn't agree with it. And then he also wanted to get rid of the solicitor, since he didn't have connections, he said, to Montgomery County. But I do want to point out that in that 3.5, 4-hour meeting, there was a time when Commissioner Mueller spoke, and it was logical. And I'm only telling you this because I think it's something to really consider when you vote. It was logical, it was reasonable, it was solution oriented, and he was able to secure a quorum to move on, which no one else could. So I just want you guys to know that it is not overlooked. I get it that Commissioner McDade thinks I wasn't here and that I've never been here, but I've actually been here longer than he has. So I'm letting you know, they are my tax dollars and I have every right to be here and to say it to all of them.
Thank you for
Thank
the
you.
comment. Anyone else? Anyone else in the room? Okay, please come on, we have someone in the back. Okay, go ahead, come up with a voting, please. State your name and address for the record, thank you.
Robert Costello, 2323 Quarters Lane. It's been 14 years since I've been here. You might say, why? I was on the planning commission from 2004 to 2012, and I left specifically because I just heard Commissioner McDade say he gave everyone respect when he stood in the back of the meeting in February 2012 and insulted everybody on the planning commission, up and down, left and right. Because he came to a meeting, which was the Freddie property. And he said he gave everyone respect. Well, there was no respect at that meeting. And after that meeting, I resigned. And I've never stepped foot in the township building again. You don't get respect when you do those things. It's actions speak louder than words. I'm not here to take politics, but there's nothing wrong with this township. I've lived here 25 years and I have many, many friends in the township. But you need to get together and work together and stop having, I listened on YouTube what was going on and it was ridiculous. But then I just sit here a second ago saying that I give everyone respect. There was no respect at that meeting. The commission lady was running the meeting, was insulted a dozen times. This meeting was packed. There was people sitting up in the chairs behind the commissioners. There was a commissioner who was sitting in the other room, didn't even have the courtesy to come in and take care of us. We don't get paid. We're not even paid a dime. Kurt Mayor's son's still on the planning commission from when I was on there. Do you think anyone respects him when they come into a meeting? No. That's why people don't want to serve on boards. Because they get scorned at when something goes wrong that they don't agree with. But you don't insult them. And that's what happened to me. And that's why I would never sit on a board again. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Anyone else in the room? Please state your name and address for the record.
Jim Sale, 2126 Winthrop Road. Regardless of what you guys decide this evening, as far as the commissioners, I would like you to at least to go about appointing the township manager and the solicitor. I've been on the township authority for over 20 years. Chris has been our main liaison with it for probably 14 of those 20 years, I think, before it was Rick Melner. Also, last probably 10 years or so, John Rice has been our solicitor. He's done a very good job. I think his fees are very fair. And whether you guys can settle your differences, I think for the sake of the township, you should still appoint the township manager and the solicitor, as well as all the other people too. This township is well run. I think it was shown this weekend how well it was run. Our streets were fantastic. You go over Walsh Road, you go over Red Line Road, you know exactly where the demarcation line is between the township and Philadelphia. And tell your people, good job. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
For your-
Just for your information, last meeting we did appoint the manager. You know, everybody except the solicitor.
I missed the first hour of the meeting. I didn't realize it started at 6. Okay,
Jim.
all right, thank you.
Let's continue
Appreciate your
public
comment.
comment. Anyone else in the room? Anyone else? in the room?
Go ahead.
My name's Howard Glickman. I live at 1022 Twin Silo Lane. I went to Pine Road, Red Lion, the middle school and the high school in this district. I've been here 57 of my 62 years. I've seen a lot of things in partisan politics, and none of them belong in local township politics, period. You guys are, the 6 of you, more especially 4 hours the other night. Ruth, I'm asking that you resign as a commissioner tonight. I went through and I watched the Zoom from home, and an hour and 58 minutes in there, you got up and you berated President Kurtz and told her that sliced bread, and she's in love with with people from that she's had on this board. You are a disgrace. You are vile. How do you? I heard 2 or 3 of you get up and say that you've been on the board all this time and no one has berated each other. And then all of a sudden, last night, you did it. You're wrong. The 2 of you, how do you support her to be president the way she acted last week? You should be ashamed. You spent an hour telling her about being here and being available. Last year, she missed 5 meetings. 5. I went through the minutes and I looked. Do you realize that? You guys make decisions. And this is a law. This statute is a law. The solicitor will tell you. It is Pennsylvania Code 55701. It is a law. It says in here, if you guys cannot come to a consensus at the meeting, then the president and vice president will continue as elected and qualified. I don't care if Barney Rubble and Fred Flintstone were in last year's board. 2 years ago when Denise and Joe were appointed president and vice president, they're here until their successor is duly elected. This board cannot. They're locked 3 and 3. That's another one of my issues. And I've spoke to some other attorneys this week, and I am not an attorney, about this. You should have an odd number of commissioners. I don't care if you have a commissioner at large. I don't care if you make it into 7 districts, 7 areas, but it needs to change. You're going to be locked for 4 years or at least 2 years. If this is the way, that was a disgrace what went on. You're brand new and you're starting, and your attitude towards people on this board, the 2 of you should be ashamed of yourself. The only ones that spoke eloquently, and it's already been said, has been Dennis. Joe didn't feel well. He fell and hit his head that night. Whether you know that or not, he threw up during the meeting. He asked for a thing. I give him all the credit in the world for being here and acting the way he did. If it was me and I fell, I would have went home and got in bed. Joe, that was a great job. Denise, you got to speak up and be a leader. You're the president until they tell you you're not the president anymore. You're the vice president. That's what the statute says. You didn't like what John Rice said. I watched it. Bruce, I watched the Zoom and I went back 5 times and watched your comments. I can't believe that one individual could be that nasty to somebody else. I'm in love, she's in love with this one. Do you know, I know you get paid by the township to be here.
Well, $200 a month.
Hey, you're an employee. That's it, that's it. I don't get paid to stand here. I'm not paid to stand here.
Please be kind,
Okay.
come on,
I'm trying, wait, listen to me.
no, come on.
It's an HR problem for you to speak the way you spoke to her the other night.
Well, thank you for your.
I demand that you resign as commissioner, Ruth.
That is not gonna happen. Thank you for your comments.
Thank you for your comment.
Brian Lowe's 1381 Rhodes Drive. I'll make it short. I want to know why my trash wasn't picked up today. And I'm dead serious. So this is the law, and the law is simple. You're trying to twist it. Okay, it says until appointed. Denise is the president, Joe's the vice president. You guys have got 2 years. Okay, let's get on with the township business. There's a whole thing going on in this country right now, and that is to be nice to each other. That's all I have to say.
Thank you for your comment.
Pick my trash, okay?
I don't know if you're aware, but the trash got moved back today because of the snow.
I'm not aware. I was shoveling.
So-
Yeah, there you go. There you
go.
Yeah, Joe.
Please state your name. We know who you are. Please state your name and address for the record. Thank you.
144 Barbary Road. I think I was at a different meeting. I feel that civil discourse is good. I don't think anybody was particularly disrespected. I think we had a very lively and important instruction. But these people are right. We need to wind a way to work together. I have known Ruth Housen for a decade or more before she became a commissioner. I have never gone to an event in Lower Moreland that Ruth Housen wasn't there. I've never seen anyone more concerned about those of us that have less and those of us who struggle than Ruth Housen. I think she would be a terrific leader. I remember coming here and standing up when we were trying to get a very small non-discrimination ordinance passed. It was a small thing, but it's not a small thing if you're the person who was discriminated against. It's everything. It took us, I don't know how many votes to get it passed, but we got it passed. Because Ruth wants this to be a town for all people. I remember on Zoom, because it was during COVID, that there was a gay man who was explaining the gay map and why gays didn't feel safe coming into Lower Moreland. That damn near broke me. I have gay and I have trans people in my family, and I love them equally. And Ruth was willing to go through this over and over again as many times as it took to get it passed. And thankfully, I don't think we've ever had to use it. So maybe by talking about it more, people had a better understanding. So that's credit to Ruth. She's got 6 years here. She has a life that most people couldn't even understand. And I just think we need to come together. We're talking about 2 years. We're not talking about a dictatorship that's going to go on until she dies or anybody else dies. She knows. I don't think there are 10 people in her ward that don't know her by her first name because she's been there for them. So I really feel like I sat in these seats for 4 hours and watched a different meeting than these other people, because I didn't see that. I saw civil discourse, which is what our country was built on and what we should be good at. And we shouldn't sit here with our feelings. We should sit here with our determination. to do good, to do better, to be the best town that we can be.
Thank you for your
Thank you. I
comment.
was just about to say 3 minutes are up. Thank you, Gina.
Anyone else in the room? Would you like to address the board?
Yeah.
Anyone on Zoom?
Yeah.
Leah, you have any hands up?
Is it Cindy who's unmuted?
We have Cindy who's unmuted.
Okay,
Cindy, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
yes, you can.
Okay, thank
State
you.
name and address for the record for our assistant.
I'm Cindy Ahern. I reside at 2457 Dale Road. I'm in Ward 2. Mr. McDade is my ward commissioner, and he's ready to get to work for the betterment of the community. I'm thrilled to have him represent me, and he supports Ruth Housen for the Lower Moreland Board of Commissioner President. And I fully endorse his vote for Ruth. We need new leadership on this board. Our community deserves better. I know I had no previous representation here. I had to contact Ruth or reach out to Chuck, who I considered my unofficial commissioner, since the one that formally represented my ward made it clear he only represented some of the people in my ward. In addition, as many of you are aware, he was too busy picking fights on social media to contribute anything to the community. That's pretty embarrassing. You're hurting each and every member of this community by not supporting Ruth for board president. I've known Ruth for the better part of 20 years. Ruth is a pillar in the community. She's a long track of accomplishments through her volunteer work, her leadership with various organizations, and here in Lower Moreland in her role as a commissioner. She's an experienced member of the Board of Commissioners. She's got 6 years of service. She's been able to work amicably with other board members, which is admirable given the political climate. And I could recite a list of the benefits that our community has enjoyed thanks to Ruth's service and support. But I want to highlight one example here, and that is that Ruth has saved the township hundreds and thousands of dollars, of taxpayer dollars, with her support for the refinancing of the township bonds, despite opposition from some members. She has the best interest of each and every one of us at heart, and she has seniority on the board. She's reliable, she's honest, and she'll bring transparency to the community, something that, in my view and many others, has been missing for many years. Ruth is more than qualified to serve as our board president. She holds an MBA in financial management and a degree in accounting, and she is the best choice to lead the board. The other gentleman who seeks the position doesn't have the experience or seniority that Ruth has on the board. And Ruth does not need to remind everyone of her accomplishments here, but I will. I remind you of her hard work and dedication to this community. With Ruth, you'll have transparency and honesty without grandstanding or word salad, without political games. Ruth has earned the right to represent Lower Moreland as president of the Board of Commissioners. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment, Cindy. I see two other hands up. I can't see the names from here, Leah, so if you want
Paula or Sonia?
Paul is unmuted.
Paul is unmuted.
to go ahead, Paula, state your name and address for the record.
Paula Burns, 3895 Sheffield Drive, Huntington Valley, PA. I'm glad I'm not at this meeting tonight because again, I think a lot of this is a waste of time. Howard just stood up there. Channing, everybody knows he's a total Denise fan. He was on a board for the voting and was on there bashing everybody when it came to voting. The whole thing that I am so upset about, and I've talked to Joe about it, is the whole voting thing. Everybody was so immature when it came to the elections that it's disgusting. In my personal opinion, everybody should almost be changed. If anyone should be president, I would say it would be Joe. I don't know anybody who says anything negative about him, but I have been a Denise fan for many, many, many years. And after this last election, I helped her. I did her stuff, but the lies that came out of her mouth, and I don't care what anybody says. I heard them. I have text messages. It is a disgrace. And you guys fight like you're 2 years old. And I agree with the first woman. You don't care what the people in the township have to say. I'm 63. I've been here 40 years. The township is not the same as it used to be, and that's a disgrace. For as much money as we pay in taxes, we should have something. But I will give kudos to the police department because they've been running around wild and doing a great job. So I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming, Paula. Who's next? Yeah.
There's Sonia Payne Juffair. I'm just asking, I'm not on you.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay. I just wanted to say, like the person who mentioned the trash, I want to actually give kudos to Denise because there was a problem with someone who had their car in our street before the snowstorm. I contacted Denise. She drove around, put a letter in his mailbox that he has to move his car. I believe she had the code enforcement officer also reach out to this person. Unfortunately, the guy didn't move it. He's just very bad about, he fills his driveway with cars. He's in a car dealership. But the point is that Denise tried, and in the 20 plus years that she's been on the board, I feel she has done an outstanding job. She has filled almost every capacity, president, vice president, almost on every committee in this township. She knows the township inside and out. I will say, as being a longtime resident of Lower Moreland, that I have seen a big change in Lower Moreland boards, both on the school board as well as the commissioners. You're getting too political. You should be unbiased. You should be unpolitical. You should just do your jobs. And you know why I say that? Because I was 9 years on the school board in Lower Moreland, and we didn't let who was Republican and who was Democrat get into any of our discussions. It was what was best for the school kids, for the township as a whole, and so forth. So the fact that you can't come to a vote and make a decision who's going to be president, who's going to be vice president, and just fight and call each other names, I am disgusted by that. So get back to the business of running this township and have some respect for one another.
Thank you. Can you please state your address for Assistant Leah?
Me? You want me?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't do that. 3794 Ridgeview Road. And I've been living here for almost 44 years.
And Ted will be on that. I mean, he's constantly looking, you know, and keeping watch on that address on your street.
Thank you.
Thank you. For your comment. Anyone else on Zoom?
Yeah, we have one more. Linda.
Go ahead. Can you state your name and address for the record, Linda?
Sure, Linda Klein, 3911 Pine Road. I just want to say I know almost all of you for a pretty long time, and it's not an easy job that you're doing. I certainly don't want it. I don't think any of you are bad, horrible people, and we all live here. So the common goal is to take care of the town in which we live. What I'm seeing is this intense power struggle, us versus them, when really it should be us. And I think if we can keep in mind that we have the same common goal of keeping our community livable, taxes as low as they can be, the best schools, keep the goal in mind. This isn't about individual power struggle. It's about what's best for our community. And I think there has to be a way to make this work. Obviously, the 3-3 is what it is. But try really hard to keep it apolitical. Think about the common goal, and that's get along, work together for the common cause of making all of us have good lives here. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your comment, Linda. Couldn't agree more. Anyone else on Zoom?
We have Laura.
Could you state your name and address for the record, Laura?
You can unmute you. You unmuted? Not yet. Oh, there we go.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, Laura Calfayan, 3231 Maple Road. Just very briefly, and I appreciate Linda Klein's comments previously. One thing that I want to say before I forget to say it, I'm glad this is happening. Partly, if for no other reason, but to demonstrate the problem with having 6 commissioners in our township. We have 4A and 4B. I don't know why, because it's represented by one commissioner. So if nothing else, it demonstrates the need for change. And I think change is the trigger word here. Lower Moreland has remained unchanged in many, many ways for far too long. Both our school district and the township are woefully behind in editing and accommodating our changing population and our changing needs. And the same people, the same thinking has remained the leadership of this board for too long. So I'm glad that we're having this debate. It's really easy to blame the new guy on the board. It's really easy to blame the people who are actually debating articulately, because it's frightening to hear about change. But change is what we need. Ruth has sat there almost too quietly, almost too respectfully. So to hear people criticize her is just stunning to me, and it's so obvious what's happening in the room tonight. But you all already know that we need the change. We need to think differently. We need to move ahead. And when you talk about respect, I think it's pretty disrespectful that Dennis Mueller has allowed this to go on just because he wants the presidency. He was offered the presidency under another agreement that did not occur. And he knows he's the junior of the 2 people vying for the spot. So if you want to talk about disrespect, I think he's being disrespectful. When it comes to the solicitor, okay, he's a solicitor. That doesn't make him right all the time. And I think it's worthy of breaking down that code and the language. I think it's worthy to debate it. So, stick to it. I do hope that we can come to an agreement. I do hope at least the board would consider going to mediation to work it out through an independent mediator. But I do want it to move on. But I am proud of the people up there debating and standing up for the potential to move the township forward instead of staying the same. Thanks.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you for your comment. Anyone else? Zoom.
I forgot one question, one situation.
We're public comment, but go ahead.
Yeah, it's public comment. Okay, it's on procedure. Okay, the public is allowed to speak for 3 minutes and no repeating themselves. Could I request this of the board to speak for 3 minutes about this so we get out of here before midnight? Please.
Thank you for your comment. We understand that residents that were here on the 20th sat for almost 4 hours or 4 hours, and we appreciate you listening. Anyone else, Leah?
We had one pop up and go away, wasn't sure.
iPhone 4 also was lagging or something.
I think those are like reactions.
No, they texted me, they want to comment.
Is there some?
iPhone, yeah, he's having issues with it. There it is.
Hey, everybody, this is Joe Pace from 426 Pepper Road, Ward 2.
Hi, Joe.
Hey, Denise.
How are you doing? Let me just go ahead.
Fantastic. Just got in from HVA basketball. Kids had a blast. So I just want to make a comment in reference to your reorg. It's a comment and a question, and it can be answered if she wants to, and it's directed towards Commissioner Housen, to Ruth. So I'll make my comment first. So I hear people who are in favor of Ruth being president and financially responsible. According to the Montgomery County website, there are, true or false, it's what the county website says. It's there are some unpaid taxes for the township and the school district. So, you know, we talk about financially responsibility. I think it's actually appalling for people to cheer on a president who can't take care of her own stuff, let alone the townships.
Yeah, well, I'm very disappointed. If you look again, it says, I mean, again, if you look, it says there's zero due. It's right on there. It says there's zero due. Okay, I do not owe any taxes. I am not behind.
Have the copies of them.
I don't care what you think you're showing. I do not owe any taxes. It's just,
They're here.
it's just a fact. I can pull it up on the county records just as well as you can, and it says zero. Okay? And I don't appreciate.
I offer this.
You have your answer. That's personal.
Yeah, I don't appreciate such negative comments. I recognize that I may have said something inappropriate to Commissioner Carter,
That's way.
but
That's
we are
big.
not gonna do
That's
this.
that's inappropriate.
So.
Okay, anyone else? Well, I don't need to see that.
Yeah.
No,
there's more.
Hey everyone, Michelle Butler, 3575 Walsh Lane. And Mr. Pace, I think that's why you are not on the board right now, because people know who you are and do not wish that you represent them. I am here because, again, I appreciate all of you. I know what it takes to run for office and to stay there, and it is not a job that I would like to do, but I do appreciate all of you for being there and for representing us. At the same time, please, consider what Miss Ahern said, and I don't know Miss Ahern, we don't live in the same neighborhood, but she is spot on with looking ahead to figure out how we can avoid this from happening again. You have a board of 6, that's 3-3. And with the political climate today and the way that our neighbors are thinking and voting, I think you're going to have this problem ongoing until we come up with a solution. One thing that I noticed last meeting that I was very disappointed about, and as a professional woman who was once a stay-at-home mom, I went from professional to stay-at-home mom for 10 years, back to being a professional full-time. It was very upsetting to me as a woman to hear people saying that the gentleman, Dennis Mueller, is more eloquent. That was said so many times, and that really rubbed me the wrong way and pretty much infuriated me. It's almost like saying there's something wrong with you that you can't speak well. And that's a terrible, terrible thing to say to someone, and really sounds very masochistic in my opinion. I would never say, and it was all of you saying it, you know, except for Sean was there, and of course our other new commissioner was there, Chuck. And, you know, to say that, oh, everything's the same, but he's more eloquent. What does that mean? She has been elected. She's been on the board for 6 years. She's been a professional. You know, some of us have our strengths, some of us have our weaknesses, but to say that someone is not eloquent and can't carry themselves when they've run for office and won several times is, to me, disgraceful and disgusting. And you are all playing a game. Please get together, make a decision. You're making decision for people out here. Don't make it political, because when it comes down to it, you need votes from both sides when you run again. So do your work for everyone. Get that 7th person on the board so that we can avoid this from happening and have that mediator. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Anyone else up there? So there's a couple more.
Yeah. Anita.
Okay. Please state your name and address for the record. Anita, we have.
Hi, Anita McPhee, 326 Brayborn Road. I just wanted to say to Ruth that I think that you should sue Joe Pace, who lost for, again, what Michelle said is a very valid reason, to Chuck, for defamation and libel for what he just said on the recorded line, and go for it. I think he should learn a lesson, because I don't think what he said should be he should get away with it, especially if it's not true. So I hope that you find a good lawyer, or I'd be happy to help you.
Okay,
That's it.
We have Lauren's raising her hand again.
Okay.
I don't think she's going down.
Maybe she didn't take it down. Laura, do you want to address us again? Your hands up.
I do want to say
Okay.
something. Two things. It was very, Joe just proved to us what kind of person he is by making sure that Joe Pace got to make his comment and talk about disrespect. Those two men, not good people. So I'm glad that that was demonstrated for everybody in the room. The other thing, again, about respect. Last reorg meeting, Denise said that she was friends with Ruth for 20 or 25 years. And then said that Ruth was not good enough to be president. So that's not the kind of friend I would want. So I'm just talking about the respect. People got yelled at 15 minutes ago for being disrespectful, when those are the types of things that are functioning on our board. It's disgraceful, as my mom would say. I just wanted to point that out. Thank you very much.
Ruth confirmed here.
It doesn't matter. It's comment time. Let the comment go and let's move on.
I can't hear anything you're saying.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you, Laura. Ruth confirmed the years.
So it wasn't.
Whatever the years are.
Okay, I understand.
All right.
Thank you,
go on to
Laura.
the next comment.
Move on, next comment.
I guess Pace wants to talk. Yeah. Go ahead. Well,
Yeah. Any more comments on?
There's one more second comment.
Okay.
get it, let's get done after that.
I just want to say something. Hey, everybody, it's Joe Pace from 426 Pepper Road again.
Okay, Joe.
I'm happy I got your attention. So, Laura makes a great point about there being 6 wards, 4-1, 4-2. Maybe you guys should look into
What do you want?
Don't
say that to me.
Can you?
Yeah,
There we go.
go ahead.
Am I good?
Yeah, go.
So, yeah, maybe you should look and maybe add another ward or doing something. But if you remember, the Democratic Party called us gerrymandering to try to redistrict to follow laws that were in place. And that will take in effect next year. Actually, this year, since we were sued by the Lower Moreland Democratic Committee, which, by the way, Ruth is on that committee, along with Chuck McDade and Sean Blanton. So you want to talk about not being political, look yourself in the mirror and figure it out. Second part is, I asked the question to Ruth, does she owe taxes? Because that's what the county website says. So you can say defamation or anything you want. I said, clearly, you don't know what you're talking about. You can't even listen to something that happened 5 seconds ago. So I would like you guys to just keep it as is. Let them dig their heels in to try to get what they want. According to the law, the board stays as is, as president and vice president. And let them carry on and do what they want. Let them sue the township and cost the taxpayers more money like they did last year when we did the right thing, when we had unanimous votes by every commissioner to go ahead with the redistricting. So let them dig their heels in, sue the township, cost taxpayers more money, and then remember it back in the election that's coming up again in the spring and in the fall. So just give them their own medicine. That's all I got.
Thank you for your comment. Are there any, is there any comment online? We good?
Yeah.
Leah?
I'll talk to them about it.
There's no more online, Leah, we're good?
There's still hands up. I think.
We're like having repeat, are we keep going with the repeat?
Are we gonna keep repeating? We have more comments online.
Oh, it's his first time talking.
This is my first time talking.
But we're not
Go ahead.
supposed to be repeating.
We aren't supposed to be repeating online. If there's something you have to say different that was already.
Go ahead.
Joshua Glickman, 1022 Twin Silo. Couple things. I don't care what your politics are. There's a commissioner up here that won by 4 votes. It's not a mandate. You won by 4 votes. The other guy lost. That's it. Move on. Maybe you need a 7th person. The solicitor is not always right. The law is black and white. That's it. Do your job. Right now, regardless of what happens, it still says president and vice president. Move on. We shouldn't be here till midnight. The disrespect by certain people in here, I don't care if you're a man or woman, it doesn't matter. Do your job. You got elected. That's it. This township doesn't need change. We're not going through changes. It is what it is. Somebody just commented about the roads. I've lived here 30 years. That's how it's always been. That's how it's always going to be. Move on. The Democratic Party has a long history of ethics being violated. You're trying to replace the solicitor. Think about the ethics. Think about your ties to the person you're replacing. That's it. And as far as certain individuals up here, just do your job, pay the bills, and move on. That's all there is to do. The public is here. You shouldn't have this many people in here. The only reason you have a lot of people is because you guys are fighting, and it's ridiculous. The president's in charge. Let her be in charge. Let her gavel you down, and move on. And then we can get out of here by 10 o'clock.
Are we good at this point? I mean, is there repeat comments?
Yeah. Let's try to repeat comments.
Do you have something new, Judy? Come on, come on up.
Well, no, you gotta let.
And it's, okay,
Well, that's it.
we'll get you, Paula, give us one.
Leah, other comments online,
No,
correct?
we're gonna take Paula, we're gonna take you, and then finish up.
Yeah, Paul is the last person.
Fine.
One thing,
Sure, Judy, we want to hear.
when four was split into 2,
Sure.
it should have been 4 and 7. You can do that now. You can make it 4 and 7. And then they can have a special election for a commissioner, and there's no problem. Everyone that I've spoken to in other townships, they don't have an even number for this reason.
I agree, we have to do something. Thank you for your
Do
comment.
something.
Okay, Paula, you have your hand up. Paula
I just
Graham.
have a quick question. Everyone's talking about adding a 7th person. Is there a reason we're not? Is there a lot going into it to do this? Like, what would it take to do that?
I honestly don't know, but it's something we have to we should try to look into. It was way back when Lower Moreland was formed. I have no idea. I mean, I could ask our manager if he knows. He's giving me a look right now.
So the provisions of how to do that are in the first class township code. It is not as simple as we would wish it to be for separating out the 4-1 and 4-2. Because as you remember from the Municipal Reapportionment Acts, the wards need to be balanced. So that would put Ward 4 essentially cutting it in half and would be out of balance with the others. So you can consider adding, you can consider subtracting, but ultimately it would require balancing whatever the remaining number of wards would be in order to do that legally. You would then have to go through the county process to have that approved, and then provide notice to everybody of their new polling locations for everyone to move. So it is certainly possible. We are seeing the real practical impact for the first time, I believe, in Lower Moreland's history of the implication of having an even number board. So if that is something you wish to do, a majority of you could give us the guidance to help advise on that process.
So you're saying though that it can be done. Is there a timeline? Like, is it a year? Is it 2 years for something to be accomplished?
Yeah, it would be a couple year process.
Okay, thank you.
Right. I just want to say something to clear the air.
Close public comment.
Well, let's close public comment at this time. And thank you everyone that made their comments. And I just want to say something first to Commissioner Housing. Ruth, I just wanted to say, personally, the comment that you made to me, it's a sexist comment and it was untrue. My top man in my life right now has 4 legs and a tail, besides my husband and my 3 boys. And his name is Zev. And he is my right-hand guy. And I think it's inappropriate. The people that you're talking about is Joe here, which is my vice president, who I have the pleasure to work as a team with. Commissioner Mueller, who am getting to know a few years, and I like to know that I've been working with Commissioner Bland too, as a new commissioner. I'd like to get to work with Commissioner McDade. And Commissioner McDade, I gave you a call, and I'm going to start with you too, to say that I want to apologize for the comment that I made to you at the meeting on the 20th. And I want to apologize, and you don't have to accept, but I just want to apologize.
There's no need to
Oh,
apologize.
there is a need to
You
apologize.
just said it,
This is the kind of person I am,
business.
and I want to apologize. And Ruth, I want to clear the air. And Rob was my president, and so is Dr. Silver. And basically, it's the working relationship.
I should not have said you are in love with him.
Yes,
Just.
that was a strong comment.
Yes,
And,
and
you
actually,
know.
I corrected it at the moment.
So,
I said.
you know, and it kind of
That was
shocked
too
me,
strong.
but,
You know,
just to clear the air, just to clear the air,
We're going.
to make peace, because,
That's
The love that.
and so we can move on.
All right, open up.
I reopen up for board comments.
Yeah, open it up
Sure,
for board comments.
So I'll just make a couple comments. First, as I said, last week, that, I was honored to be considered by REORG. For me, it's affirmation of, how I conduct myself, and I think the values that I try to attain to. Regardless of how this meeting goes tonight, and regardless if it goes additional time, I would hope that it would. I am fully prepared to put my personal feelings aside for whatever has happened here and any personal interest that I had, to continue to work with each of you and to support the community. So, however this ends up, that's honestly how I feel. Like many of the comments tonight, I'm disappointed that we're here for the 4th night, talking about reorganization. And I think it's a situation where we're just unable to reach consensus. Upon, some reflection that I've had, listening to, I asked, last week, both, Commissioner Kurtz and Commissioner Finale what they felt were the most important aspects of the job. They talked about, meeting preparation, they talked about the agenda building. Weeks prior to that, I actually met with, Township Manager Hoffman and asked, what was the most important aspects that he thought that the position would bring. He talked about clarity for the staff. He talked about meeting organization, which I thought was. Listening to many of the comments that happened last week, there were words of experience, availability that if I was clever enough with AI, I might have been able to run some kind of software to figure out, what was how many times both of those words were said. In the interest of moving this forward tonight, and listening to what I think was most propagated by this board, experience came up more and more. And there's only one individual who has served on every committee, who has served as the vice president, stepped in as president when the current president was unavailable, served as the president for 2 years, and that's Denise Kurtz. Denise has been, I think, one of the most dedicated people to the township. She's available all the time. She strives to build consensus. She's by far the most available person across the board, and I think part of it, she self-admitted last time about her time that she spends within the township. So, with that being said, I will make a motion when it's appropriate for Denise as president to continue. All the comments.
just this past week that your opinions have changed on that topic? Because when we spoke in the past, we talked about a desire, and we spoke about it last week too, about what we need to move forward. I think everyone on this board was in a consensus that the two of you were so what was it about what happened last week versus what's happened now that's changed?
I think in some of the comments in terms of the spirit of change and finding reconciliation amongst this board, Denise has been in the position. She has by far the most experience on all the committees. And in the interest of moving forward, putting any personal interest that I may have aside, I think that at least for the next 2 years, because she has served both as vice president and president, we've continued to move township business forward despite some hiccups that we might have experienced over the last couple of years. I think many of the residents said this in their comments that Lower Moreland's still a good place to live. Lower Moreland still gets things done. And in the interest of moving forward, I'm fully in support of Denise continuing to serve as president so that we can move forward. It's worked for the last 2 years. I don't think there's been any significant incidents or hiccups that we've had. And I think it's the best interest for us to move forward. So I have changed my mind, and that's where I would position my support.
Now, 2 years ago, I supported Commissioner Curtis for president. And when we did have discussions individually with each other, which is allowed before these meetings, and we did talk about Commissioner Curtis continuing, but as vice president. And that offer was made. I thought it was to be expected, and it just didn't work out. Oh, I'm not sure what to think now.
Yeah, because Denise, you say last week that you were interested in stepping down in order to allow us to move forward. It seems.
Joe and I made that offer to all of you, and you guys didn't want to budge. I didn't know what else you wanted me to give you. My husband, my kids, my dog. You guys didn't want to budge. And I am totally responsive. Every resident reaches out to me in every ward, and as soon as they reach out to me, and then I inform every one of you, they get a response ASAP. I don't care if it's 1, 2, 3, 4 in the morning. I'm on it. And I inform you, and I'm there, and Dennis came to me, and I just said, I really don't want to sit, but I wanted to be team players with all of you. And you guys are not budging. So I still want to serve, and I still want to represent everybody, and I still want to work with all of you, and we still want to work together. And we want to be the best Lower Moreland that we can be. So let's still do this together.
We're all on that same page. I think we all
Let's
agree
work
with
as a
that.
team. Let's make Lower Moreland the best it can be. When the trash was having problems, I was answering calls Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day.
I think we're all responsive to our residents and we help them
and helping
when they reach out.
And talking to Steve and Brandon,
So
and trying to find solutions. And I know when Chuck too, because Steve told me, when Chuck became a commissioner, he was even taking some calls. And I talked to some Chuck residents who, one lovely lady.
So Dennis has another comment, then
here's the moment of clarity for me, and it was brought up, I think, recently. So, this week there was a significant storm that affected all of us. Not only did Denise call, field some of my residents and other residents that were in other wards that she shared with me, but I think somebody said that she actually went out, to be able to help Public Works and looked for cars that were on the road. People knocked on their doors to ask them to move their cars for the betterment of the township. There is nobody that I think is more dedicated to this township than Commissioner Curtis. And, in the interest of being able to break this dead heat here, she served for the last 2 years as president. Prior to that, she was the vice president. When Dr. Shurkin lost his voice, she stepped in. we continue to move business forward. Commissioner Blanton, you mentioned this even before. For the most part, we're a 6-0 vote on most things. Commissioner Kurtz has continued to do that. We need to move on, and I think this is a solution to be able to move forward with this. In 2 years, maybe we'll be right back here again. Maybe in 2 years we'll have a 7th commissioner. But in the interest of moving forward, I would support Commissioner Kurtz as president.
I'm here for all of you. I want to work with all of them.
So,
Let's do this.
so I've been on the board now a little over 6 years, I believe. And I've been sitting in the VP spot for the last 2, working with Denise. And as Dennis said, she is more dedicated to this township than anybody. With that being said, she's always there to take calls from us and is always willing to talk as well and comes to rational, informed decisions. And that's what it's about. And what everybody else said online, this isn't about partisan politics right now. It's about what's doing best for this community and getting the work done. I've lived here my entire life, 42 years. This community is outstanding. That's why we all choose to live here and raise our families here. And she's been a member of this board for 24 years?
23, it's coming on 24.
24 years, almost. So with that being said, under her direction, the township has continued to improve. We had no issues up until the reorg meeting on January 5th, which got to occur. We're now at our 4th meeting. Township is still being taken care of. Steve and his guys, excellent job with the public works, clearing the roads. Scott and his guys, outstanding with the police department and the responses. Fire and EMS under Mark's direction, incredible, and providing wonderful services. All of these services have improved over the last number of years. This township hasn't stepped back. It's moved forward and gotten better. And I have faith that she'll be able to continue to do that for us.
And we are finding solutions together with regard to the trash. Right, Steve?
There we go.
Yes, we are.
I'd like to make a motion to,
I just want to call out, like, so I think what's challenging me right now is a couple things. So one, I don't think it's very genuine to say that everything is moving forward smoothly, easily, that we're moving, because we've been up here in public talking about some real challenges that we've been having. Right, we brought up last week, right? But the biggest thing we've been talking about, especially these last 2 years, has been the firehouse, our emergency services, the fire company.
Yeah.
And that has not been an easy road. We've come up to many bumps in that road. And part of that has been the people who have been most closely involved. And that is an unfortunate but objective thing that has been happening, is that process has been made harder by some of the things. So to say that everything's smooth, that it's better than it was, is not a genuine statement. And I don't think that's fair to anybody out here who's not in it day to day. I'm not saying that we aren't making progress, but what I am saying is that a big topic we talked about last week was the need for change in order to keep that progress going.
So let's talk
The second thing that's really challenging to me is I'm trying to understand why people's opinions have changed. Because last week, we talked about the fact that we talk offline, right? We have discussions. And even the things that we talked about offline were shared. And I can say that this opinion of Denise has not been shared with me before. Different opinions have been shared. And I think it's really disingenuous now. This feels very opportunistic to come back to this, to try to get through here, when I have heard different opinions. And it's why we talked last week. It's why we landed on trying to figure out how Ruth and Dennis work together, because there was consensus from just about everybody on the board. Those were the 2 other people. So I think that this is not the right path forward. This is a way to get out of this difficult discussion, but it's a difficult discussion because we have to find common ground. We can't just skirt our way through it and pretend like nothing happened. And I don't think that's right. I don't think it's right for these people who came out here, who voiced their opinions, who voiced their perspective, who have very big feelings and the right feelings about it, to just say like, let's just pretend, like just like we did last week, right? To pretend like we don't have to make our choice.
So
to actually discuss this.
3 minutes ago.
Yeah, we get more than 3 minutes, but thank you for whoever said that. With that being said, regarding fire and EMS in this community, I've been a member of the fire department with Bernathen for 25 years plus right now, as we all know, and has been put out I serve as an assistant chief on the EMS side. Over the course of the last 3 years, there's been significant improvement to our response time within our community. There's been significant services at, including a stroke truck that now responds into our community. Everything that has occurred regarding the emergency services and with Mark, yeah, is there differences between the two volunteer organizations? Is there personality conflicts? Yes, but the services to our residents have improved dramatically, as well as the response time, saving property and lives. That's what truly matters.
Right, and this board discusses those issues, this board makes decision on those.
Mhm.
This board has helped do that. But
Without-
when those issues have come up and been more difficult to get through, when we've had to take steps back, it has been because of individuals who have gotten involved.
What steps back have we taken?
2 summers ago, we tried to force feed a name change for this organization, as if that would clear the road and make everything better and make all these 2 firehouses work. And we went back and forth and back and forth, and we went into the fire companies, and we made promises that we could not keep.
We're past that.
Not keep. But we're not,
past that.
so we're past that vote, but what we're not past is the fact that happened. Right, and that's a reflection of the leadership that we need and that we didn't have in that process. That process soured what's going through. It made it more difficult. It broke trust. And that's a problem because our Huntington Valley Fire Company right now is having a very hard time trusting that they're a part of this process because they've not been treated like they're part of this process. And that's when we've gone in and we've promised them things. And then the next night voted against those.
Sean, no.
And that is
I held
not
up a
with this
meeting
board.
for 2 months that have them come to agreement.
So, yeah, let me address this.
You know, you're talking.
You're getting all this stuff.
I understand you.
You were done.
Listen, I understand you have big feelings about it, but this is an objective, not personal discussion. This is about leadership.
I want you
and
to
who we need
put
to
the
be.
truth out there and to actually have the full
I
information.
can finish saying what I'm trying to say.
But allow me to comment afterwards instead of cutting you off. You told me, I was asking you to respond to what you just stated and you cut me off. I don't appreciate that.
I understand you have big feelings about this. I'm trying to have an objective discussion about it. When you overtalk me, it's hard for me to get me.
Go ahead.
The point I was trying to make at that moment is what I'm trying to talk about right now, which is we're having a debate about leadership. We're having a debate about what we need to get through the most difficult discussions we're having right now. And that is the big thing that we have to figure out. And that's why we need new leadership. That's why we talked last week for 4 hours. That's why we tried the week before. That's why offline for weeks and weeks, we talked about the need for new leadership. And I think it's really opportunistic that even yesterday, right, the discussion that was had about whether or not we make change was no change. We're going to keep moving forward where we are. And now all of a sudden, the biggest have changed.
That was in the beginning.
Hang on. Can I respond? You're finished? So regarding the merger with the fire companies, that's been going on for 18 years. It's been put out to the township. We've had numerous state studies, local studies, all come to the same conclusion that Bernathen and Huntington Valley should merge, correct? You've seen the same studies as.
Yes, I'm not arguing that.
Exactly. And up until we started this process, and regarding the name in particular, because I know there was a lot of issues over the naming of the new fire company, it was put out to the companies to come up and decide what that name was. They had ample opportunity to come together and pick a name, give it to us, and we would have signed off on it. They failed to do so. We needed to move forward, and that's why the name was selected and confirmed by all of us. That's what occurred. So they did have ample opportunity for buy-in on Bernathen's side and on Huntington Valley's side. And they are a stakeholder at the table. They're one of 6, I believe. 4, 6, whatever, 4. So they have ample opportunity to provide their input. They're not being left behind. What we're doing is combining these organizations to provide better public safety for all the residents of Lower Moreland and Bernathen at a cost savings to our taxpayers. I don't understand what the difficulty is with that and why somebody wants to object to it.
I am not objecting to the process that we've been on. Never have. Never have. I've been in support of this move. I think it is the right move for this township. Okay, what I'm calling out right now in this discussion about leadership, a discussion about the people that we need to be involved to carry everybody through, What I'm saying is that in these critical moments, we've had a lack of leadership. Okay, what I'm saying is, when you bring a group in, when you give them ample time, if they still have discussions, what happened was we said, fine, we're going through anyway. We said, sorry. We said, we're moving forward because we have to name this thing so we can get this merger done, so we can do this, so we can do this, so we can do this, right? Instead of trying to figure out a way to get consensus there. And that is what I'm saying. That's why Ruth is perfect for this position right now. Ruth has the trust of these groups. This is an important issue. She has the trust of this group. She knows how to talk to them. She knows how to work with them. But most importantly, she has their trust. And that trust is essential to make this work. These are emergency services. This is some of the most important stuff that we do. Most important service that we provide to people. Trust is imperative for this. I know you know this. You do this your whole life. And if there's not trust there, then we have a problem. And that's what's the problem. That's the problem underneath all of this, right? You told us last week that we're like a month or two away from figuring all these bylaw stuff, right?
That's our hope.
And that's your hope, but you're presenting it as if that is the thing it is, that we are just moving forward, right? And is that the truth? Do you really truly believe that all companies have read, reviewed, provided notes, we provided them back, and that by this time, what, next week or 2 weeks from now, we're going to be in a position to do so?
Probably in March, April would be my hope that we can move forward with it. I know Bernathen's already provided their comments.
Okay.
Huntington Valley's already met with Chris. He's waiting for their comments to come back. Bernathen Borough's already provided their comments, and the township's the one who put it out. So it's in our Dropbox. So
Gentlemen,
that's clear.
if I may, I'm sorry, when you're,
Let them finish.
Yeah, so that would be my hope that we could move forward on that time frame that I'm projecting right there. I don't see what would stop us on that. Unless Huntington Valley comes back with substantial issues with the bylaws, I don't believe we will have an issue there, and I believe we can meet that timeline effectively. Regarding trust between the departments and the people, these guys go into fires every day together. We had a fire 2 weeks ago up on Roy Lane. They're all under one patch. It's all FMFR. I don't know who's under them. I don't care who's under that mess with the people that I'm in there with. We're all there for each other, doing what's right for the community. And that's all that matters up here. That's it.
I think we've gotten off track.
Huntington Valley right now is reviewing their documents now. Chris met with them.
I already,
Chris met with them and they're reviewing their document. So we're not, it's in their hands. Whenever they come back with it, they come back with it. Chris meets with them periodically. We're not pushing them in any way. It's it's in their hands. They have to meet with their membership and they have to meet with their powers that vest.
I think we have, actually gotten a bit off track. We were not,
So
I understand your passion, I understand your passion and your point. But we're not here to talk about the firehouse. It was an example of a problem with leadership, that he felt was a problem with leadership. Okay?
And I'm saying it's not, but.
we're right there, we're right.
So
They're there.
if we're talking about leadership, I mean, there are certain aspects of what Commissioner Curtis did as president that I really appreciate. She was open, she shared a lot with all of us, and she does spend a lot of time working with this township. I'm not sure those are the best qualifications to be president. Sorry. And through this process, I have gotten frustrated with you. I think it's pretty obvious, because we have been friends for over 20 years and I didn't feel supported by you, not because you're a woman, but because I thought you would understand and appreciate what I bring to the table.
I always appreciate you really wanting to.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. You're saying that, but when it comes down to it, you were not willing to vote for me. And isn't that what we're doing?
Denise, you're on record saying that Ruth, like you, are weak and too friendly and too nice, which I don't agree. She said that last week. She said it on 2 occasions. She equated herself to Ruth and said that her proclivities, her niceness, her kindness is a signal of weakness. It's a weakness that both of them share. And it was a reason why she was advocating against Ruth for the president board. And it's also a reason why she had said that she should sit down, which is, I thought a very not the most objective comment in a discussion about qualities for presidency, but it was something that you said, and it is on the record. So we're trying to figure this out, and we're trying to talk through, but that was something that was put out there. And that was part of your argument against why you should not be there, let alone Ruth.
So Sean, qualities in president. You want somebody who's a strong leader, correct?
Yes.
Somebody who knows the community, has been here, and is involved, correct?
Yes.
Somebody that's in touch with everybody.
I think that can be a good quality, yes.
And Denise has one of those.
Yeah, and so does Ruth.
We both do.
Everybody on this board does.
Okay, you're right. So these are all qualities that we all share.
That's it. I don't understand what the issue is. She has never shown a failure in leadership.
The leadership of presidency on this board is leadership among the 6 of us, as much as it is leadership with the different departments and the different heads of those groups. Okay, and what we've done now for the 4th night in a row is put forward so many different types of groups, right? We have not, and there's been no attempt outside of these meetings to have any sort of discussion, to have any sort of consensus building, and that certainly hasn't come from Denise, right? Well, Ruth has attempted to do that. Ruth has attempted to reach out to different people, to talk to them, to hear them and listen to understand them. She's been working to get consensus. This past week, she tried to do that with Dennis, because as Dennis shared at the end of our last meeting, they were going to try to break apart, find consensus between the 2 of them, see if there was something they could work out. As the group that the 6 of us all agreed were the best people for the job at this point. And did that happen? No, it did not happen. Right? Ruth attempted to reach out to Dennis. And that discussion didn't sound like it went anywhere. It sounded like they were just going to stay where they were, relying on our former solicitor's opinion on the township code. And that was that.
All right.
So we have one person trying to find consensus among all of us, and nobody else is attempting to do that.
So we said we were going to give it an hour. We're now at an hour and 20 minutes. And I'm going to make the motion to nominate Denise Kurtz for president again.
Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Nay. Motion fails.
So I'd like to make a motion.
So Denise is president. Wait a second. Wait a second.
I think
Wait a
there's
second.
things you don't know.
Wait a second.
No,
Wait a second.
There's things.
Wait a second.
When we talk
Everybody
beside ourselves.
Just vote.
Excuse me, we're trying to conduct business.
We are-
We're gonna ask for silence in the room.
Okay, wait, let's stick with our people here. Let's go ahead, Ruth, you can speak. Ruth has the floor. Ruth has the floor.
But this has thrown me for a loop, because when we talk in private, different things are being said than what is being said now. That is why you're seeing us being a little bit floored by the nomination for Denise. I think Denise is a lovely person. But I don't believe she has shown the leadership that we need. It's just flat out. I mean, she is a good commissioner. She does good public service for her people, but that's not necessarily the qualities that were required for a president.
We're going next.
Yeah.
Okay. Are there any other nominations for president?
Yeah, I'd like to nominate Ruth Housen for president of the.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been moved and seconded to nominate Ruth Housen. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
No.
Okay.
Motion fails.
So the law rules, the law.
Okay, so I have another solution.
Hold on, we're not finished, Ruth. Wait,
What do you mean we're not?
we're not finished.
Go ahead.
Want to put a DP?
Sure. So you want to move to?
Yes.
To the motion for president.
Is there any other motions for president?
I think we have a comment that Mr.
Do
Housen.
you want to go ahead? Do you want to make a
Yeah,
comment?
I actually have another alternative. So take one and pass it down. I think we should hire a mediator. This is a former judge. We actually have one that we're already talking to Republican.
Who cares? It shouldn't be about politics.
Well, I'm trying to put a leaf out there. I'm trying to make an agreement. I'm trying to reach a consensus. Okay?
That's not.
And so I think this would be an excellent opportunity for us. We could learn from a mediator, we could work with a mediator, and it would be an opportunity for us to maybe move forward.
Illegal.
So I appreciate your comments on the recommendation. At this time, I'm gonna go with what the solicitor is saying and what the current law stands. And I don't believe that mediation is in best interest right now. We need to follow the first class township code and proceed on with the business of the township.
Yeah, so let me comment to that, because a concerned citizen reached out to me this week. This particular resident is a lawyer, and they share with me some case law that they had discovered that actually comments directly on what our former solicitor had decided or had given us in terms of their opinion. There's a case in Bucks County. It's called Klein v. Fox, and the case itself is not directly about what we are up against. In this particular case, the township was unable to reorganize due to some extenuating circumstances of one of its commissioners. The chairperson, however, attempted to reinstate and conduct business despite the fact that they hadn't gone through reorganization. And those commissioners who were left out of that process were challenging whether or not the meeting actually happened. The thing about this case, though, that I think is really relevant to our discussion is that in the judge's opinion,
Not relevant.
the judge said, and I quote, "We cannot condone the actions of the chairman in thwarting the desire of other members of this board to reorganize. Reorganization cannot be undertaken for 60 days prior to this meeting because of the agreement of council entered pursuant to the equity action heretofore alluded to." That was the stipulations of the case. But the next fact is, I think, the most important piece. It says here that the fact did not obviate the necessity of reorganization, nor did it have the effect of extending the term of office of the incumbent officers for another period of 2 years. The president and vice president, two of the defendants herein, of the previously existing board of commissioners, held no inherent right to their offices, but were merely appointed office holders and could be removed at the pleasure of the board of commissioners. This opinion is a judge's ruling. They ruled on this case. And again, I'm not trying to say here that this case is our case, that this is proving the fact that what our solicitor had shared before was not true. What I'm trying to say here is that last week I talked a lot about risk, right? I talked about the fact that if we just assume or go off a single opinion and operate as if we have an existing president and vice president, even though we fail to reorganize, we put the township at an extreme amount of risk. Any motion that we sign, any contract we enter, any decision that we render that has that president's signature on it could be challenged in court easily and will put us at risk. You guys, all at risk. You're the taxpayer. You pay legal fees when we have to go to court. And any one of these contractors over the next, who knows, month, quarter, year, while we sit here and don't reorganize and operate as if Denise is our president and Joe is our vice president, puts the township at extreme risk.
You're incorrect.
And this is ultimately why I was advocating for us to stay, to discuss, and to make a decision. And it's why Commissioner Housen is trying to find another route for us to find a decision. A mediator is a recognized method of trying to find consensus before things go to court. And we don't want it to go to court. And that's exactly why Commissioner Housen.
Who's the president in the meantime?
We don't have a president.
Let's break that up.
Please don't talk out of turn. All right, so I appreciate your comments, Sean, but the only solicitor we have in the room right now is Dave. Dave, can you give me your opinion on that case law that he just cited and what's your interpretation and who the current president and vice president are?
I brought a copy, first of all, of Klein versus Fox for all of you, so let me pass that out so we can all follow along if you like. Let me know if you got
one more copy.
It's not me. It's a full fill.
Thank you.
Also, want to hand out section 701 of the first class township code, which is the law in Pennsylvania as of now. Copies for you as well. And I also want to hand out Article 12 from First Class Township Code that talks about the township solicitor. There was comments made about former solicitor, but wanted to just clarify for the public and for the board how that works. First of all, let me address the issue of solicitor. I'm just gonna read straight from the law. I'm not gonna paraphrase it. I'm not gonna offer my interpretation. I'm not gonna offer my legal opinion of what it means. I'm just gonna read exactly what it says. So as why we are still a solicitor, the township solicitor, and I'm pulling from section 201 of the first class township code. It's a long paragraph, but I'll read the last sentence. The township solicitor or special counsel shall serve at the pleasure of the Board of Commissioners. There's been no vote otherwise, so we remain a solicitor.
We voted last week, and that motion failed to reappoint John Rice as our solicitor. So we did vote, and that vote failed.
I've just read what the law was.
Okay,
Section 201.
The pleasure, you just said that we didn't vote for that. And
No, he stated he continues to serve until it's reappointed.
Until there's a change in the solicitor.
The township solicitor or special counsel shall serve at the pleasure of the Board of Commissioners. Is that not what I'm reading?
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
And the pleasure of the board was not granted to our solicitor. That's why we wanted to go out to process to find a new one. Or to find and go through the process.
My understanding of it is that there was that the vote was to not place him as a solicitor. So we currently still have a solicitor. So the motion didn't pass.
No, the vote was to appoint John as our solicitor, and that vote did not pass. It failed.
So we don't have, so
we do not have a
is
solicitor.
it your intention right now to suggest that we don't have anybody legally representing the township?
What I'm saying is, yes, when that vote failed, we did not have a solicitor. Now, we attempted to start the process to find a new one. And it is in our right to allow for our township manager or other members of the township to use legal counsel as they need to process certain things. But we attempted to vote to appoint a solicitor, and that motion failed. We do not have a solicitor at this moment. And that too puts us at risk. That's why we need to figure this stuff out.
May I continue? I understand that's the position of certain commissioners, but may I continue reading Article 12?
Sure.
So I'm going to move on to section 203, control of legal matters. The township solicitor shall advise on the legal matters of the township. And no department or officer of the township, except as otherwise provided by law, shall employ or retain an additional counsel without the consent or ratification of the Board of Commissioners. And the duties of the solicitor in section 204 to furnish the Board of Commissioners and township committees upon request with an opinion upon a question of law. And I understand that Mr. Rice has done that already. So I just wanted to address that from the first class township code is, first of all, why I'm up here. Second of all, the organization, I'm going to move on to section 701, which I think we've all seen, but I've handed out copies of. That deals with the organization and the failure to organize. And I'm just going to read it straight. I'm going to quote from it. At the organization meeting, the board shall elect one member as president and one as vice president, who, as long as they continue to be commissioners, shall hold office until their successors are elected and qualified. So that's from section 701B. So that's from section 701. I offer no interpretation of that. That is what it says.
Yeah.
And then finally, as far as the mediation goes, you could decide to mediate. Mediation's not binding though, so it could eventually get you nowhere, even if you think you have an agreement. Mediation, it doesn't need to be followed. It's not binding. So that's what I would comment as far as mediation goes. Now, moving on to the Klein versus Fox case, I have read that case and I'm familiar with it. It's really the only case that is available that interprets section 701 that we can find. But I read the facts in that a little bit different. The members, Bristol Township back then in 1970, this case is from 1970, Bristol Township had 10 commissioners, so an even number, just like we do here. There was a 5-5 disagreement on who should be the president. However, in that case, it appeared that some of the members called for reorganization, but the president refused to even acknowledge or consider the reorganization and adjourned the meeting. And therefore, he just kept to being president because of everything he did on his own. Now here, in this instance, we've opened it up for discussion. We've had lengthy discussion and public comment on it. And this situation is a failure to get a majority vote for who should be president and vice president. So I see this as a different situation. And just as far as the quote at the end, the president and the vice president, two of the defendants herein, previously existing Board of Commissioners, held no inherent right to their offices, but were merely appointed officers and could be removed at the pleasure of the Board of Commissioners. So again, at the pleasure of the Board of Commissioners means by a majority vote. And nobody has been removed by pleasure of the Board of Commissioners because there's been no majority vote otherwise at this point. So based on 701 combined with Klein versus Fox, it's my interpretation at this time that we continue on in the current organization that we have unless and until there's a different vote taken. And that is, I have nothing else to add this issue.
Thank you for repeating John's opinion. Appreciate that. Reading the same thing he read last time. Appreciate that. And yes, I agree. The facts of the case are different. I was not equating those, nor did I think they were. But the opinion, if read differently or interpreted differently, would suggest that what happened was that in a failure to organize, that an attempt to keep the same leadership was not what the judge decided was allowed to be happening. And again, that's you read this, we appreciate your opinion, but it's an opinion, right? And there are different opinions out there. And it's our responsibility as a board to seek out and to understand the risks involved with these decisions, right? We do have someone who can tell us and give us counsel, right? And part of the reason why we voted the vote to reappoint John last week failed is because there isn't trust there. There wasn't enough trust, not across this whole entire board, right? We have to trust the opinion that we have. Just because we get an opinion from a lawyer does not make it true, right? I'm not getting an opinion from a lawyer on this. I'm looking at actually a judge's ruling, which again is just one judge, one ruling, but it's a ruling that stands in conflict with what we had before. So if we move forward and we say, let's just do it this way, once again, the risk is too great. I don't think it's responsible for us to do that. I don't think it's fair to anybody sitting in here. Everybody who is now tuned into this process understands the implications of our decisions or the lack thereof. And we put them at risk. We are going to ask them to pay for every mistake that comes from this. If we just say, we can't figure this out, so we're going to move forward. The only way, I agree, mediation is not binding. You're right, it's not binding. It's a method. It's a method to find someone to work with us who is unbiased, who's a third party, who can hear what we all have to say and can help us form an agreement. Something that we could all potentially live with, right? Who could do so in a way that we have been unable to do so far. I think it's a responsible thing for us to do.
We recognize that mediation is not binding. It is, however, a method of communication that we have not tried. We've certainly tried this. This is not.
But mediation is not the law. This is the first class.
No, it's just a method.
First class township code, it is a law. The law.
Those two things are not the same.
We're not talking about the same things. What I'm talking about now is using a mediator to help us decide who should be president and who should be vice president.
And I understand what you're saying wholeheartedly, and I understand what you're saying, where you're calling out extreme risk, but I disagree with your position wholeheartedly.
You don't think we're at risk?
No, I don't.
You think that's totally fine?
Yes, based on.
You don't think anybody could challenge these decisions using this information or their interpretation of our code?
So right now, the only person with a law degree up here is Dave, correct? I'm going based on his interpretation and by John Rice, who's our solicitor.
Not our solicitor.
They are our solicitor.
They are
so
not
I don't want to.
our solicitor.
Your opinion, and I understand that.
Hey,
Just like it's your opinion that Denise is not president, not my vice.
You keep saying it's my opinion as if there's no basis to that.
No,
as if it's not informed by information.
Sean, I'm looking at.
As if his opinion is different than my opinion.
His opinion is, and he's.
His opinion of the reading, yes, is informed by his studies. And when the resident I spoke to, same, informed by his background, right? Other people I sought to try to find understanding of what this code says and what it means, also shared their opinions, also informed by their legal background, right? Did anybody else out here try to talk to someone else?
Yeah.
And figure out, you talked to other solicitors.
No,
you saw other opinions.
No,
you didn't. You listened to one person. They said that's convenient. That works for me. And I'm sorry to say this, but in this game, even if it's convenient, right? We have to figure this out. Right?
Sorry,
And I understand that you don't like the rules that we're in. It's inconvenient to you, but we have to follow the rules.
Sean,
the rules are. I am respecting this law, and it's exactly why I'm trying to say that if we just agree that we can go on as if nothing happened, then we have failed. We have failed everybody out there. And I'm not gonna let that happen. I'm not gonna put the township at risk. Yes, I'm getting that, because this is really important.
No, I said.
It is, it's really.
Well, let me just read this to you, okay? The first class township code is Pennsylvania state law. It acts as legal framework for the structure, operation, and powers of the township of the first class. It is one of the main Pennsylvania local government codes governing municipalities. So that's what it is.
I agree. So the township code is law.
It governs what we do. It's not.
I'm not arguing against it.
So if I can make.
Okay, so that's what.
Let them talk.
We have, so we have Solicitor Rice who made a comment. We have another solicitor, same law firm that is, they provide the legal guidance to the township. Their legal guidance has told us that based on their interpretation of that section of the code, that this is how we proceed when we found to get consensus. And with all due respect, Sean, I read, I listened to you tonight when you read the opinion of an unnamed attorney that you spoke to, but we have two solicitors, two attorneys who have given us an opinion on how we should proceed in this matter. And with all due respect, I have to take the opinion of the solicitor who is representing the township and how we should proceed in this matter.
You don't have to take their opinion. You
I
have
am
to
taking-
listen.
I am taking
You have to
their-
listen to their advice and think critically about whether or not.
And I am taking their opinion, and I do believe what they're telling us is the fair guidance for this board. And that is the direction that I would suggest that we move in. And if you feel differently about that, which I know that you do, and I know that there's some other folks that feel differently about it, then you can do what you think is necessary to be done. But this is the solicitor for the township who's giving us the advice on how we should proceed at this point in time. And that is the advice that I think we should take.
Everyone is entitled to their opinion.
Absolutely.
And I think that we have tried this for a while and have been unsuccessful. Do we want to move forward and talk about the other two items or three items that we did not decide on last time, which is a vacancy board member?
We're not finished yet. We're on vice president. Next is vice president. So.
Get this done. All right.
We're on nominations for vice president, so let's proceed to vice president. Is there a nomination for vice president?
I'd like to nominate Joe Canale as vice president.
I'll second that nomination. We'll make a second. Ruth, do you want to talk? Do you want to speak?
Yes, can we speak?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Look, on a one-on-one basis, Joe's great. But the animosity that he faces in certain avenues of our township make it impossible for him to continue as the vice president of this township. I honestly think that with him being so involved with the Bryn Athyn Fire Department, it has created part of our problem with getting together the two departments.
So can I comment on that?
Of course.
Again, I'm a volunteer with Bernathen Fire Company. Been there 25 plus years. Not paid by them, don't take a stipend from them. Do that for the benefit of the community. Meaning Berlin and Lower Moreland Township. Resident of Lower Moreland my whole life. Again, I have a master's in public safety administration out of St. John's. My focus is on ensuring the public safety in this community. I don't care what organization does it. I care that it's done correctly for our community and our residents. I'm not here to play politics. I'm here to ensure the safety of our community. That's what I do. If people don't like that, if people get hurt feelings over that, I'm sorry. It doesn't matter. What matters is that our community is protected.
I agree with you. It matters that our community is protected. One of the reasons that we're having trouble retaining our volunteers is because they feel disrespected. And one of the people they feel disrespected by is you. Just laying it out there.
Even though I'm a volunteer as well as them.
I'm
Not the only-
talking about the Huntington Valley volunteers, and there are many, many more Huntington Valley volunteers than there are right now.
On the rolls, but not active members that actually show up for calls, correct?
We have not gotten that data. We have asked for it a time and time again, and we just
Just stay
not.
focused on where we are, not debate the fire company.
Right.
I think,
So,
I mean,
but
it's a
that-
relevant discussion because of how important it is. And I
Is
think
that,
you're not the only person who has served in that capacity and also been on this board. But other people have done in the past have stopped doing one and recognizing that being involved in both, not a direct literal conflict of interest, still a conflict. And it does create challenges. It does. And when people come to us and tell us that it's a reason, that's important. That's an important thing to do. And you said it last week that you recognize that, or at least you recognize that stepping down was maybe the best thing for us to do right now. And now to accept this nomination feels, again, disingenuous.
Let me
Last week
clarify for you.
versus this week.
I was willing to step off the public safety committee, which I still am. That's where people are claiming there's a conflict because I'm the liaison for police, fire, and EMS. Even as VP, that does not have to be my assigned committee. And that's up to the president's discretion where she wishes to assign. You know, so again, that's a non-issue. Do I believe I'm very well qualified for the position? Yes, I'm more qualified than anybody else on this. But with that being said, that's at her discretion.
if we make you vice president, it's like sticking a needle in the eye of the Huntington Valley Fire Department volunteers.
So talking
It's
about,
just a fact.
so talking about Huntington Valley, I've been to their board meetings before. We sat there. I went down with Commissioner Yu. Open lines of communication whenever they want. My phone is always on. I respond to everybody. I'm fair with everybody, as you know. There's been no issue there brought to me. And as I stated, my phone is always on. I'm always willing to have a discussion. I might not agree with you all the time. You might not agree with me all the time. But I will always sit down and talk to anybody. And when we were there at those meetings, their relief program was one of their most important goals. It was our mission to bring that over into the new organization for the benefit of all the volunteers in the community. That's it. And I understand some people have some hurt feelings about that. I can't help that, Ruth.
Well, no.
It's
you
about
can't,
what's
but-
doing what's right for the community.
And
That's what it's all
so
about.
you're saying that you being vice president is.
No, I'm saying the merger between these two organizations is,
That's not,
No.
we're not
well,
debating that.
you
You're not
guys are
debating
debating
that.
that, saying that if I'm vice president or she's president, that this merger won't happen and people will be upset by that.
Nobody said that.
That's what I thought you were.
That is
imposing. So
not
you
what
can
I
correct me if I'm wrong.
What I'm saying is that the two of you being involved at that level make it more challenging to actually put it at.
Disagree.
I disagree.
Hey, disagree all you want,
Residents
but
in the
we're
community.
reacting to what we've learned, what we talked about, who we've talked to. We have to make informed decisions, talk to many people, and that's what we're saying. You're welcome to just, obviously you do, because
So-
you've been involved this time.
So
But we believe strongly that we need different people engaging right now to get us through the next critical stages of this project. And that if you guys are involved, it's going to be much more difficult and could put it at risk, could make it impossible, or what could end up costing us way more. Building a fire company or building an approach that is not, we have been discussing and puts more burden on the taxpayer.
So right now, we're operating as FMFR, Huntington Valley and Bernathen Fire Company, under one operational agreement under Mark's control. We're all clear on that, correct?
Yes, I understand that we're making.
Everybody on this board up here agrees that the merger needs to occur and it's best for the community. Are we correct on that?
That's what we've been discussing, yes.
And we all agree on that, correct?
I don't.
Well, I know you don't, but I appreciate it.
Everybody
Everybody else.
We had discussed.
Yeah, I appreciate that, but everybody else does agree.
We discussed.
Yeah, you definitely have. Well, I didn't know your most updated position on it, but thanks for clarifying.
Well,
With
he's been
that
very
being said,
consistent.
that means we have one organization right now that we have to deal with and negotiate. I believe we're more than capable to come to resolution for what's best for this community with that other 501c3 in Huntington Valley Fire. And building something that's going to serve this community for the next 50 years, meaning a new firehouse consolidated in one central location to better serve both the communities. Nobody's in opposition to that. They shouldn't be. It's for the betterment of the public safety of our communities.
Well,
Okay.
that's not even what this discussion.
Yes,
is
that
about.
was bad at all.
What if it's the opposition? That's what I'm missing.
Well,
We've said it pretty clearly, it's
Are
your
going to-
involvement. Your involvement makes it more difficult. Your involvement puts it at risk. And if you can't see that, that's a problem.
Well, I just said,
That's
I was
a problem.
more than happy to step off for public safety if you believe that's what the true cause is. More than happy to step down from that position.
And I'm also saying that in a leadership position, you need to be involved with those things, and that's not the right thing to do.
Well, there's many positions that the VP can handle that's still a leadership position, but not public safety.
I'm not talking about the commission, I'm just talking about in general. Your ability and your need to be involved with agenda setting, involved with other aspects of what leadership of this board does. Is exactly what we argued last week, and we all came to consensus, at least at that peak, that you being involved is not the right thing for the township at this point. That your personal relationships with the people involved, your history and your bias put the project at risk.
I have zero bias.
So, and you welcome us to hours.
Commissioner.
But I am explaining my
Hours.
I feel the way that I feel.
Okay.
Sure. I appreciate your opinion, Sean, but again, it's just your opinion.
It's almost 2 hours, guys.
Commissioner Bland.
All right,
yeah,
I agree with.
It's in the hands of the manager and our chief of emergency services.
It's almost
And
2
they-
hours.
Wait a second, please. They are, basically, they're the top, and then they are giving direction to us. If we do and have an opportunity to get to our January meeting, and it has been in our weekly reports, Manager Hoffman has been giving us information about the financing, has been giving us information about where everyone's at with regard to the documents and how he met with Greg Colbert and Bill Wyland, all of that. We don't get involved with that.
I'm sorry, Denise, this is off
So
topic.
it
This
is off
one of
topic,
the
but I'm
reasons-
answering Commissioner Blanton.
Okay.
So we do not get involved with that
All right, so.
as commissioners.
Still up for
No, we can't
Nomination, please.
have any of.
I've said,
Yeah,
I've said my piece.
Two- We're not
We
getting
have a
involved.
motion, it's time for a.
Let's vote.
So
The motion that stands is for Joe Canale to be vice
That
president.
is correct.
motion's been moved and seconded
Was there a
to
second?
appoint.
Yeah, there
Joe
was.
Bailey.
Denise, did you second that motion?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
There we go.
as vice president. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Say no. Do we have it?
We vote.
Can we vote?
No.
All right, I don't think that we are going to come to a consensus tonight on president and vice president. We had 3 other items on,
But there was only two. There was only two.
Yeah, we have
There was-
3.
there
Yeah,
was
township
two-
solicitor,
Two, wait a
vacancy
second.
board member and HR meeting.
Well, wait a second.
And
We
Yes.
voted on the solicitor. There was a 3-3 tie. We had the vacancy board member, Frank Spada. He's the chairman of the vacancy board. And he's a labor relations and employment attorney. And I did speak to Manager Hoffman. And he does wish to serve, and we do not have any letter of any kind stating anything that was discussed on the 20th of him, any kind of moving, or he does wish to serve.
All right,
So I just wanted.
I'll
to
make
put
that
out there.
motion to
That
reappoint.
is
Frank Spada.
resolution 2610.
I'll make that motion.
you know what, I'm gonna second that motion.
Okay, motion's been moved and seconded to appoint Frank Spada to the vacancy board. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Unbelievable.
Any opposed?
Nope.
No opposed. Motion's passed. Thank you, commissioners. Next was the resolution 2611. That was appointing Mindy Horshman for the human relations mediator position. So I'm going to ask everyone, that's only a 1-year term. We could discuss that moving forward. How about we appoint her? And then we could discuss this and open it up. So we have someone there just in case. Can we do that?
Yes.
How about we do that? What if something happens? Okay, is everybody okay with that? And then we reach out and we go from there. Is everybody okay with that?
Yeah, well, just.
We need to have somebody there.
Ruth, you wanna make it?
Chris, you wanna make a motion?
No.
Okay, anybody wanna make a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Okay. Does anybody want a second?
Second.
Motion's been moved and seconded to appoint Mindy Torchman, resolution 2611, human relations. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion's passed. Okay, so what we were going to talk about is, that we talked about talking about an RFP. And we talked about, we're gonna talk about that and the parameters in February. So can we do that?
Why in February? It's
I don't
part of
know.
the reorganization.
We talked
No,
about.
we, last week, when the
We
motion
talked
failed.
about that because
We
it's
suggested
time
it
to
as
get
a
paperwork
process.
and everything else.
Right. we
And
suggested-
Manager Hoffman was away and I didn't have a chance to speak to him about it.
So we
and
suggested it on
anytime.
RFP as a process to find a new township solicitor, rather than just simply, at this point, someone that we haven't had a chance to discuss. It's pretty common practice. It happens in a lot of other townships, where this type of change happens. I think it's a responsible thing for us to do. It allows the process to get started right away, so we can find someone to fill that seat.
So.
And it does not preclude
Right, and I need
So-
time to talk to
fee
them
from.
and.
About what?
So
Let's
let me comment for a minute.
let's talk about that.
So let me comment. We had a motion on this last month.
Yeah.
Correct? Motion failed to reappoint.
Last week.
Last week, excuse me, last week.
Last week, 20th.
It
We had
does
a
feel like
motion
a
of,
month.
and it really does, doesn't
It
it?
kind of does.
We then had the motion for the RFP. That also failed. That means currently our acting solicitor remains per the township code.
No, you can't just say that and then just like act like that is the case.
Well, that's what
This
we've
is-
been told by
this
our
is-
solicitors.
No, this is different, right? Township code, right? We're gonna go back to the township code. It's very explicit about two positions, president and vice president. Every other position is unique to every single township and what they need to operate, from township manager all the way down. Right? In those instances, this is not what the code is telling us to do. Okay? We voted to reappoint each one of these because we have to. Because it's not because we want to, not because we decided every 2 years that we want to do it in Lower Moreland. It's because that is what the code says. We have to reappoint these people because they're not in that position right now. So we walked into that meeting without a solicitor, and our attempt to reappoint John and Graham Bean and Thatcher as our solicitor failed, which means we did not appoint a solicitor. Then we offered an option, a path to get us one, because we need one. We cannot operate without one. And it's not fair to our township, it's not fair to anybody to operate without a solicitor, even if we can retain them for legal counsel, even if we can retain them for purposes of what a lawyer needs to do to enact certain things, which I'm super open for. We should not operate without a solicitor whole bar, right? We should retain Graham, Bean, and Thatcher until such time that we find a solicitor. But at this moment, we need to find one. And an RFP process is it's a way that people have done it, and I think it's the right way for us to do it.
So Dave, as your opinion as solicitor, since we were unable to reappoint and we did not go out for an RFP, how does that read, and is Graham, Bean, and Thatcher our current solicitor?
We are, so I'm going to go back to section 701. Organization, the only thing that really has to get done in organization is electing the president and the vice president. There's no requirement to reappoint any other position at organization. So there's been no vote to remove our firm as solicitor at this point. So we still serve at the pleasure of the Board of Commissioners. There's been no vote otherwise.
We voted.
My comments of last week, and I'm gonna stand behind those, in the midst of this discussion and lack of consensus for the other positions, and that because we are relying on the solicitor, I do not feel comfortable at this point putting forth an RFP to make changes to the solicitor. I'm more than happy to open that discussion once this is resolved, but until then, I stand behind my position of last week, which is until this gets resolved fully, then I'm open to a discussion on RFP process. And so then
we don't have a solicitor until then. Is that what you're saying?
No.
You don't want to help the township find a
That's not what I'm
solicitor.
saying. I'm going on the advice that the solicitor just gave us, that because the motion failed, that the solicitor that was in place before remains our solicitor.
The motion was to appoint them. That failed. We did not appoint them. We did not appoint them.
So they.
That is the fail. No, they don't remain. So you're saying, if we vote yes. Yes, that's what I said. I'm not, I don't think I'm saying it pretty clear. Okay, so what, just listen to what you're saying. You're saying that we vote to appoint a solicitor. If we vote yes, then they're our solicitor. If we vote no, then they are our solicitor.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
What I'm
to you?
saying,
Does that make any sense to you?
I think you should read Robert's rules. And the motion didn't pass, so the existing solicitor remains. And that's also.
And that's in
the
Robert's
opinions. That is also the position of the current solicitor.
Yeah, I would imagine that the current solicitor's opinion about that would land on this.
All right, we're going on 2 hours. I would recommend that we table this at this point and move on to our business meeting.
I will definitely, Sean, we'll look into this further. I'm just to finish this reorganization meeting up for the appointments of committee chairpersons and liaison positions. Right now, I'm gonna leave everything the same, but we're gonna all talk and figure out where everybody wants to be. Commissioner McDade, I'm gonna leave you on the committees where Commissioner Pace
Okay,
was.
pause, before, first of all.
Just to
before we move
finish
forward.
this up, just let me finish this.
We
up
are.
really quick. Just let me finish this up really quick and then I'll get back to you. I'm gonna put you where Commissioner Pace was, Public Works Committee, alternate to the public property for now. And again, we'll all talk, figure out if everybody wants to move around, liaison to the Building Code Board of Appeals just for now. And if everybody wants to switch or whatever, we'll talk and we'll figure out where everybody wants to be. Sean, before we try to move on to our business meeting.
Can I
Go ahead.
repeat what I said at the beginning?
But
That
Go ahead.
it speaks to Sean's point. That I believe we should just do our reports. And we don't need a president to do that.
Well, I still need to open the meeting, Ruth, and close this meeting. So just let me go through the process. And I'm waiting for Sean to finish up his thought.
Before we move away from memorization, right? There was an opportunity brought forward by Commissioner Housen to find a path forward for us, right? She offered a path of mediation, and I think it's a good path for us to follow. I think finding a third party to come in and help us resolve this issue is what's best for everybody, best for this group and best for the township. And I would like to make a motion that due to the failure of our ability to reorganize today, that we move to find a mediator, that we find a process that works under the Sunshine Act and other laws that would allow for us to mediate in public space. And that we hire a mediator to help us find resolution to this process.
I second that motion.
Can we just have a discussion on this? I would like to look into it instead of making a motion.
Just right now.
Do you know,
Depending on the cost, we
Do
might
you
get
know-
solicit for bids for that.
do you know anything about this or how to go about this?
It would be like really any other professional consultant, but
Who's paying for it?
cost though, it may need to go out for bids, so.
Who's paying for it?
The taxpayers would be paying for it.
Of course.
Here we go
And if we
again.
go to court, the taxpayers will be paying for
That's
that
right.
as well.
And they'll be paying a lot more if that happens.
Take them to court then. I guess that's what you're gonna do, right?
It's not me taking anybody to court,
Yes, it is.
right? It's the township, right? It's voters like you who have a right to have a board that follows the law and reorganizes. And right now we are failing to do so.
Can I speak?
And it's
please?
within your right.
No,
No,
you can't.
sir.
No, we're
Sir,
following the law.
Excuse me. This is a meeting that we're conducting. There was an opportunity for public comment before. Okay. The risk is not me. I'm not gonna sue this board for what they're doing. I don't have the right to do that. It is up to the voters of this township, and it's their right to have a board that organizes, that follows the law, that follows the code of first class township. Elects a president, elects a vice president. And in these situations where that failure to organize happens, we are trying to offer a responsible way forward that prevents a judge from ruling on our behalf, prevents a judge from stepping in and making a decision where we should be the ones making a decision. And mediation, excuse me, sir. Mediation is a process that is followed in all sorts of situations, all sorts of legal situations and even non-legal situations to help groups that cannot find consensus find it when they need it. It is a responsible path forward. And that is why we're making this motion and why we think that is the best thing for us to do.
I have to tell you that I think if we did end up in court, the first thing that the judge would do is tell us to get a mediator and mediate. He would want us to make these decisions. He's not the one to go through. And over again, even though we don't have this specific thing, when two townships come together and are fighting and they go to court, guess what most judges ask them to do? Get a mediator. That's why we're here. I think, you know, if we don't start this process, we're not moving forward at all. And we need to do something to break the logjam. So I think we should at least look to hire a mediator.
One question, Denise.
Thanks for your comment. Ruth,
My,
but this-
you know,
this-
my comments on this are, we have an interpretation from the solicitor. And that's the process that I would follow. Open to understanding more about it, but I'm not in a position tonight. Based on some other comments that I had to be able to say yay or nay. So, we have a decision. The decision is that the meeting continues. As we had said before, I understand that there's disagreement, Commissioner Blanton, how you feel about it. And that your opinion is different than the solicitor's, but we have an opinion from the solicitor on the remediation for how we should proceed. And that's the opinion that I'm going.
Attorney Keatley, is the first class township code a state law?
It is.
Is this?
No one is
what
arguing.
The township is supposed to be followed?
I always prefer my clients follow law, yes.
Okay.
Yes, of course.
There was a motion and a second.
Is there any more?
I apologize, and it being 9 o'clock, I just have a question, but on the procedure of this, because we are so concerned about following the law. Is this within the context, we have a stated agenda for the reorganization meeting. Is this within the context of existing agenda items, or does the agenda first need to be revised to allow this motion to be considered? I would not want to expose the board to that.
The motion for mediation?
Yes.
That would need to, yeah, I don't really see it as an agenda item, so it would need to be. We would need to amend the agenda with majority vote. Add that as an agenda item for which action could be taken.
So is that a motion I can make?
Well, there's a motion on the floor that needs to be settled first.
So what we're saying is currently,
Yeah, we gotta handle it first.
right, which I think what Manager Hoffman just said is that the motion that I put forward would not be a motion that I would be legally allowed to put forward, given that it is not currently part of our agenda.
So you just need.
So I am retracting that motion, and I am instead putting a motion forward to add it to our agenda, to allow for us to vote for this, to move this process forward.
And I second that.
Motion's been moved and seconded to
Add the topic.
add the topic of mediation, to add, go out and look for a mediator.
Well, no, just adding.
Add the topic of a mediator to our reorganization agenda. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay.
Nay. Doesn't get added.
All right. All right, so
Gonna move on.
there's no other, I'll make a motion to adjourn the reorganization meeting.
Second.
Motion been moved and seconded to adjourn reorganization meeting. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, next I'd like to call to order our January 29th. Oh, you have to read it. You have to reopen.
I need a computer.
Okay.
So, John, we have information.